Welcome back, students. Today we will discuss on the Ricardian theory of rent. But before we go on to our main discussion, let us just talk a little bit on this very term, that is the word rent. Okay? In simple words, if we say the word rent here, what we can define it is a payment that is earned, that is received by one particular factor of production, which is land. Okay, as we all know, different factors of production, be it land, labor, capital, organization, they're all being rewarded for the services that they do provide. So a reward that is being paid, that is being received by this factor, that is land, is referred to as rent. And if we talk about rent here, they are of two types. We have one which is referred to as the economic rent. We have another which is referred to as the contract rent. Okay, economic rent here, it is a payment that is being paid for the use of land, whereas contract rent here, it is a payment that is being paid for the use of land plus the other facilities that is being received by the cultivator or by the farmer. Here, suppose to get a clear-cut distinction on what is economic rent and or what is a contract rent, just let us just assume that there is one farmer who does not have any plot of land of his own. Okay, he need a particular plot of land to grow and cultivate the different types of crops. And because he does not have a single plot of his own, so he just say rented or asked from a say a rich farmer. So using that very plot which does not belongs to him, he has to make certain payments. Okay, so it might be he has to pay it monthly or yearly, whatever. Okay, so whatever payment that farmer paid to that rich farmer for the use of that very plot of land, that is referred to as an economic rent. Okay, and let us suppose in that very uh, same plot, okay, what happened was that rich farmer, he did carry on some improvements. Okay, let's say in that very plot he dug a well. Okay, let's say there is what how to put in, let's say he properly fenced that very plot that is being used by that poor farmer. Okay, so after undertaking all these improvements, see it be it after digging the well, proper fencing that very plot. Okay, that poor farmer, he will have to pay something. Okay, besides the payment that he paid for the use of that very plot, for growing, for cultivating, he also has to make certain payments for the use of that very well that is being dug by that owner. He also have to make certain payments for that services that is provided. That means for the that after that rich farmer, he had properly fenced that very plot, certain payments he has to be made to that poor uh, to that rich farmer. So it means as if this poor farmer, he has to pay certain sum of rupees for the use of that plain plot of land, certain sum of rupees for that facilities that that rich farmer provide him. Okay, be it wells, be it that fence land, so on and so forth. So taking these two together, the payment that he paid for the use of land plus the facilities that the rich farmer provide him, that is referred to as a contract rent. So now we will discuss one of the famous theory of rent known as the Ricardian theory of rent. This Ricardian theory of rent, it is a theory which was developed by David Ricardo, who is a British economist. Okay, so in his very theory, here David Ricardo did gave a clear definition, like what is this rent? Okay, according to Ricardo, he said that rent, it is that portion of the produce of the earth which is paid to the landlord for the use of the original and indestructible power of the soil. If we put it in another way, according to Ricardo, okay, rent, according to him, it is simply a payment, okay, a payment for the use of a plot of land. Okay, and if I say a payment for the use of land, that plot of land has a soil. Okay, and that soil, it is it really has uh, uh, how to put in that very plot of land. It's very fertile for growing the different plot of land, or for growing the different types of crops. So according to Ricardo, when he said it is a payment for the use of a particular plot of land, and that particular plot of land has a soil whose fertility is original, okay, whose fertility, it is something that is indestructible by human. Okay, so in simple word here, land, according to him, uh, did receive a payment which is referred to as rent. And Ricardo says here that whatever a payment that this plot of land receive for its services, for its fertility, for its original power, okay, that is referred to as rent according to Ricardo. Here, Ricardo also tried to explain his theory both from the extensive as well as the intensive cultivation. And before he explained his very theory, Ricardo did make certain assumptions. He did assume that there is perfect competition in the economy. He assumed that the supply of land is fixed. He assumed that uh, this rent, it did accrues from land alone. Land and capital are single factor. Rent, it is predetermined. And further, he said, land is cultivated in a historical sequence. That means first the farmer used the best plot of land, later he used the less fertile plot of land, and so on and so forth. So based on these assumptions, Ricardo do try to explain the Ricardian theory of rent.